I thought I was done changing, but life said otherwise. There was a time in my life when I truly believed the hard parts were behind me. I'd survived enough, achieved enough, and failed just enough to feel like the person I was the person I'd stay. Change? That was for the younger version of me. The one with more time to spare, more chaos to wrestle with, more mountains to climb. But now, I thought I had finally arrived at a steady rhythm, a quiet predictability. I wasn't looking for transformation anymore. I was looking for peace, for rest, maybe even a little simplicity. But life, as it always does, had a different plan. It didn't ask for permission. It didn't show up politely with a knock. It barged in, unannounced, unapologetic, and suddenly, the person I had become, the one I thought was final, was being rewritten. Not all at once, but in pieces. Small moments that chipped away at certainty. New people who saw something in me I didn't recognize. Sudden losses that made my old priorities feel like relics. And subtle longings that bubbled up quietly like whispers I couldn't ignore anymore. It's strange, isn't it? How we can spend so many years building ourselves up, only to discover that life still has new layers waiting, whether we want them or not. That growth isn't something we age out of. It's something that follows us, gently or forcefully, into every season of life. Even the ones we thought would be calm. I used to think change was a sign I hadn't gotten it right the first time, that I hadn't become strong enough, wise enough, or healed enough to finally rest in who I was. But now I know. Change isn't punishment, it's invitation. An invitation to become more honest, more human, sometimes even more free. So if you're sitting there today, feeling like the ground beneath you has shifted, again, let me just say this. You're not broken. You're becoming. Still. Always. Because just when I thought I was done changing, life said otherwise. And I'm starting to think that might be the most beautiful part of all. There's something seductive about stability. It wraps around your shoulders like a warm blanket. You start to believe that the way things are is the way they'll always be. I remember waking up one morning and realizing I hadn't cried in a while, hadn't worried about the future with that tight feeling in my chest. My days followed a predictable rhythm. Coffee at 7, small routines, familiar voices, enough money in the account to not check it every day. It was peaceful. And I mistook that peace for finality. I started saying things like, "This is just who I am now," as if the book had already been written, as if the plot had already unfolded. I stopped questioning things. I stopped asking, "What's next?" Because, honestly, I thought there wasn't a next. Not in any meaningful way. I thought the major shifts had passed. That now I would live in the aftermath of all the changes I'd already made, I'd learned, I'd survived. Surely that was enough, and there's no shame in that. We want to feel finished sometimes. We want to reach that summit and look down at the winding road we've climbed and say, well, that's done. We want to feel like we've earned our spot in the sun. But the truth is, when you believe you've got it all figured out, when you believe the learning is over, you start to shrink without realizing it. You stop exploring. You stop stretching. And worst of all, you stop listening to the gentle tug that says, there's more. Not more in terms of hustle. Not more success, more praise, more approval. But more becoming, more shedding, more softening, more truth. I didn't see it then. I only saw what felt like a well-earned plateau. A resting place. But that plateau, it wasn't the top. It was just a ledge on a bigger climb. And soon, life was about to prove it to me in ways I didn't see coming. No one expects the phone call at midnight. Or the doctor's eyes that linger a little too long on the test results. Or the moment someone you love looks at you like a stranger. We imagine we're prepared. We've lived long enough to handle what? Comies, right? But life doesn't measure its disruptions by age. It doesn't knock gently on your front door and say, you've been through enough. We'll leave you be now. No, sometimes it just storms in, wrecks your comfort, and hands you a new chapter, one you never asked for. For me, it wasn't one big moment. It was a series of little fractures. A friend I thought would be there forever just wasn't. A routine doctor visit turned into a string of appointments, then surgery, then recovery, then a new body I didn't recognize, a change in finances. that forced me to reconsider the security I thought I had. Loss so sharp it changed the color of every day after. And the hardest one of all, a quiet, persistent feeling that who I had become wasn't quite who I was anymore. Each moment on its own might have been bearable, but together, they cracked something open. They forced me to confront the illusion I'd been holding onto, that stability meant safety, and safety meant permanence. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes we only grow when what we thought we needed is taken away. Sometimes clarity doesn't come from silence, but from the sound of things breaking, of something inside you whispering, "This life no longer fits." And when that whisper becomes a roar, you have a choice to make. You can resist it. Try to tape the pieces of your old life back together, even when they don't align anymore. Or you can do the harder thing, the braver thing. You can let go. You can say, "This hurts, but maybe it's leading me somewhere I couldn't get to on my own." That's when the real change begins. Starting over sounds poetic until you're in it, until you're the one fumbling through unfamiliar territory, unsure, exposed, humbled, until you're sitting in a room full of people who seem to have it all together and you feel like a child in adult skin, until you realize that even after 60, 70, or 80 years of living, you still don't have all the answers. But do you know what's beautiful about being a beginner again? It means you're alive. I remember trying something new, something small, like learning to use a piece of technology everyone else seemed to understand. I was frustrated, embarrassed, tempted to say, "This isn't for me." But something kept me there, and eventually, I did learn. Slowly, yes, but I learned. And with it came a quiet confidence, not the kind that says, "I know everything," but the kind that says, "I'm still capable of growing." That kind of confidence? It's softer, wiser, more rooted. I took a class after retirement once. Sat in the back, surrounded by people half my age. My hands trembled more than I wanted to admit, but as the weeks passed, I laughed. I asked questions, I got things wrong, and then I got things right. I remembered that learning doesn't belong to the young, it belongs to the willing. Being a beginner taught me humility. It also taught me grace. I started letting go of the need to be the strong one, the wise one, the one who knows. And in doing so, I opened up to joy again, to awe, to discovery. Things I hadn't felt in years. We spend so much of our lives trying to arrive at competence, at clarity, at confidence. But maybe the real destination is openness, the kind that says, "I'm not done yet, and I don't want to be." The older I get, the more I realize that change isn't a disruption, it's a rhythm. A quiet, persistent rhythm that hums beneath the surface of everything. Sometimes it grows loud in moments of loss or crisis. Other times it's a soft breath on the back of your neck, urging you to let go of something you've outgrown. We tend to think growth is a straight path, like climbing a mountain with a peak in sight. But it's not. It's messier. It doubles back. Sometimes it means sitting still. Other times, it means leaping before you're ready. It means forgiving people who never apologized. It means softening in places you used to armor. It means breaking old stories you told yourself and writing new ones that feel closer to your truth. If there's one thing life keeps teaching me, it's this. You don't become who you are just once. You become over and over again, not because you failed the first time, but because life is layered. Because as the world changes, as people change, as your body and heart shift, your soul gets invited to come with it, to deepen, to renew, to unfold. I used to be afraid of becoming someone new, afraid that I'd lose the parts of me that mattered. But what I've learned is this: the parts of you that are real, the ones built on love, on integrity, on soul, they don't disappear. They evolve. They become gentler, or braver, or more open. And the parts that fall away, most of the time, they were never really you to begin with. They were survival strategies, expectations, masks. Now, I choose grace over perfection. I choose curiosity over control. I choose presence over performance. And I found that becoming isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about living more honestly than you did the day before. You don't have to change everything. You just have to stay open to the next small invitation, to the next whisper of What if there's more of you still waiting to be discovered? That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's how becoming works. It's not a finish line. It's a way of being. There was a time when I believed my story had already been written, that who I had become was who I would always be, that the chapters of growth, of risk, of deep transformation were safely tucked away in the past. But I was wrong. Life had other plans. It handed me moments that made me question everything, invitations I didn't recognize at first. It broke me open in ways I never expected. And through it all, it taught me the most important lesson of all. I am not finished, not finished learning, not finished feeling, not finished healing, not finished becoming. And neither are you. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you've lost, what you've failed at, what you've settled for. If there's breath in your lungs, there's more of you waiting to be lived. There are still versions of you that haven't yet been discovered, kinder, stronger, softer, freer. I thought I was done changing, but life said otherwise, and I'm so grateful it did, because who I'm becoming now, she might just be the most beautiful version yet, and maybe, just maybe, the same is true for you.